David, Nyika, welcome to my podcast.
Thank you for having me, friend.
Oh, mate, I on my run this morning, I was going back through our DMs to set up this podcast, and I'm sorry, I'm like a mosquito. I messaged you first in, I think, April, May 2022, and then every couple of months there's like, yo, David, come on my podcast.
You kind of have to do it. That's like...
I wore you down.
It's badgering. Yeah, you're the honey badger. You're the honey badger of the podcast world, man. No. I honestly, like I was saying just before, that's kind of the way you have to do it. Like, first in, first served. But when it comes to like tracking people down, you have to keep badgering them, man. And that's why you're up to almost 100. Yeah.
100 podcasts.
100 podcasts. Let's go, man.
I did wonder because our interactions going all the way back, you've always been impeccably polite and well mannered, and your nickname is the nice guy. But it did make me wonder. Like, are you a people pleaser? Do you say no if it's something you don't want to do?
100% a people pleaser. Yeah, that's pretty much me. Yeah, it's I'm proud of it to a degree. Like there have been times where I feel like I probably could have put my foot down, but not to people like yourself. Like I know your voice since I was a kid, you know. So this is a privilege. So thank you for having me. Man.
Thank you. Well, the privilege is all mine. No, because I we'll get into your relationship with some other people, including Israel Adesanya later on.
But Kanye here.
I watched a podcast that Izzy did, and he talked about his boundaries, and he respects it now. So if he's out for dinner or something, someone comes up and wants a photo, he's got no issue saying no. Yeah. Whereas I feel like you'd just be like, I'll just say yes and get it done with.
I'm probably not that famous yet. Probably not that famous yet. I probably don't have that many people recognize me in public, you know. I tell you what, being a little bit removed as well. So obviously living over in Australia now, I think I have like not as many people like familiar with me over there. So I think there's a little bit of that. I probably am. That's kind of it's kind of trademark now. The nice guy. I do have a hard time saying no to people. But I don't think it's not hurting my career or my life. You know, I've got to where I am today by being the person I am, you know, so I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, and if it's who you are and not an act, then it's not a difficult thing to do.
That's it. Yeah, it's like it's part of my integrity. I try to upkeep that, but I also don't. I probably don't. I don't do many podcasts. I don't go out of my way to be in the public eye all the time. You know, this is like when I come back to New Zealand now, it's usually I want to see family, or it's work, or it's business, or a bit of both. Like this trip, like I wanted to make sure I got to have a good chat with you. So no, it's just kind of part of who I am anyway. Yeah.
I appreciate you making the time. And another thing that surprised me about you doing this research, and this is on me, I just assumed you were Māori. You're Ugandan.
Yeah. I kind of get I've got that kind of complexion. I get lumped in with like pretty much everyone. I can kind of I identify as a white man, and I'm 75% white. I just get like a really good tan in summer, you know. So my heritage is I'm a quarter Ugandan and a quarter Welsh, and the rest is like a European mix. Yeah.
So is your dad Ugandan?
Yeah, my dad's the Ugandan Welsh, so half Ugandan, half Welsh. It's quite a good mix. I feel like you get pedigree dogs, and it's like a lot of them have like, say they've got heart conditions, or they've got like they're a little bit too much of one thing. I feel like I've got like just enough mix that I get eczema, asthma, and hay fever. But that you're one of those. You're one of those. Could be a lot worse. I'm a mutt. Yeah, come on. Yeah.
And another thing that surprised me about you, you're like a massive Disney fan, right?
Yeah. Well,
like a hardcore.
You think about like my generation grew up with Disney, and it was like I'm probably the start of a generation where we grew up with like really good TV, good, solid, wholesome TV that was kind of we were sat in front of the TV probably more than the generation before us. I think I feel like my generation, we all had TVs, I'd like to say. So having that kind of exposure, I took so much of my kind of inspiration and whatnot from these cartoon characters, you know. But
what in particular, Lion King or?
Lion King was the first my first idea for my pro debut, actually. So I had a really cool like a ring entrance song that my friend made from high school like put together. He like composed it like at his family house, you know. And I've always kind of taken inspiration from you know, it's easy to say now because like we've got social media everywhere, and there's like we've got all this inspiration, like all this digital inspiration. But for me, it was like I had so many heroes that weren't actually real. A lot of them were they're all fictional and made up. But at the same time, that was where I found my inspiration, and they've all got like really wholesome kind of wholesome themes to it. So for me, it was like, oh, I can actually inspire the youth through a fictional story written and directed by myself, you know. Only we don't know the outcome. I think that's kind of magic.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh, I really like that. There's so many little things like that to the David Nyika story, like including your love of bonsai, and we'll get into that later as well.
Yeah,
yeah, so many things that seem weird when you pitch them against you being this savage in the ring, which is interesting. First of all, let's go back to the early years in Hamilton. So you're born and raised in Hamilton?
Yeah, so born in Hamilton, 1995, and we moved. I went to a little country school called Puketaha, and then as a family we moved over to the UK for 3 years from age 7 to 10. My mum was born in London, actually, so we've got British passports, so we kind of got that dual citizenship. And coming back, spent the next pretty much my entire life, in Hamilton. Went to Hamilton Boys, did my time and came out and was straight into being a professional athlete, which was kind of always the goal I had in the back of my mind. I could study in sports science, but by the age of about 16, I kind of lost a lot of interest in everything but boxing. So it really kind of like encapsulated me.
Yeah, were you quite smart?
I was. What I found moving to the UK, they've got a wicked education system, and I think I went to a good school. I went over there and kind of came back in my primary school. It was a little bit like you've kind of outgrown our curriculum here, so we'll get you to teach the other kids. And by the time we got to Ham Boys, it was a small country school, and like it was more focused on leadership and kind of building core values for young adults, which I think that's paid dividends down the line. You know, I like to think that I am a natural born leader. Being a Leo, I'm a Leo, so that this is something that I've always kind of strived to achieve. But over in the UK, I got pretty clever. And that was purely just because I didn't want to be ordinary. I didn't want to be average. I remember a parent-teacher interview. I was a teacher's pet over there, and like they were saying, like, he's really well behaved. Like, what do you want to achieve? What do you want to achieve out of your time here? Because we weren't going to be there forever. But they were saying, what do you want to achieve while you are here? And we spent 2.5 years there, and my goal was to I just wanted to be better than average at something, and that was kind of it seems like a very very kind of simple goal, but I achieved that in mathematics of all things, and I can't remember any of it now, but it was a good goal for myself, and I knew my future wasn't in academics. Being the person I am, and having so many other aspirations and other hobbies that they get pretty distracting, but I've got so many things I want to achieve, and I feel like I'm finally in a place where I can actually start turning those into something really quite special and quite beautiful.
Yeah, so why did you gravitate towards boxing? Because you are a really good runner. You and I were in Sydney at the same time. I was doing the marathon. You did the half. You finished in the half marathon, bro. Your time was like an hour 22.
Yeah.
Which for anyone that's not much of a runner, it's really quick. It's like well under sub 4 minute Ks. Yeah. And to give you some perspective, you were I think 37th out of about 5,000.
Yeah.
And for a big muscly, like to be a really, really good long distance runner, you want to have as little muscle on you as what you can. And you're stacked. You're carrying around a lot of extra weight. So I suppose my point is like you could have been a really good runner.
Yeah. I'm definitely a natural ectomorph. Weight just sheds off me. That's part of being having Ugandan heritage. You know, I just like weight just falls off, which is really good, but. The running was more of when I was young I was good at it, and then through my younger years, like early high school, I really struggled with the growth pains and stuff, and so I lost the love for it like immediately, and I started quitting in runs, and I beat myself up a lot when I started kind of quitting at that at something that I used to think I really loved, but I didn't. I was just good at it. So, having grown up and kind of, I've put a bit of weight on, but I'm naturally a really good runner, and so that was something that I was like, I'll set out a little challenge for myself, and having put on a bit of size, that was a strategic thing leading up to the Olympics. I wanted to move up to the next weight division, so I had to do that. I say artificially, but I worked like a absolute Spartan. I ate 7 meals a day. If I did it again now, I wouldn't have eaten half as clean as I did because I was such a good boy, man. But it was really hard work, and I actually transformed my body into a 9 minute fighter. So my fights were 3-minute rounds at the Olympics, and I really wanted to maximize my ability in that space. And obviously transitioning to professional boxing now, you fight for up to 12 rounds in a fight, and that's a completely different animal. It's like a 400 meter next to a 10K runner. It's like completely different, different. And so I wanted to kind of unpack a little bit, and like that comes with being a bit more patient in your training, and kind of dialing back the intensity at times as well, in order to change your, like, it's not just, you know, changing your mindset or changing how many rounds you train for, but it's actually like changing your whole physiology. And like, I don't know, I'm not a sports scientist myself. If I went to university, maybe I would be, but for me it was a matter of kind of readapting, but that adaptation was actually just undoing a lot of the things that I had worked so hard and tirelessly to achieve. And yeah, so now I feel like I'm probably an 8 to 10 round fighter. And we've got a little bit of work.
Oh, what do you mean? I've seen your fights, bro. It never lasts that long.
Exactly. But I'm built for 8 rounds, 8 really solid rounds right now. I could go 10, but it's a package I need to kind of unpack. But it's a natural advantage of mine as being a distance runner. So that
right, so good boy, a bit of like aerobic engine or something.
Yes, yeah. So that was always my strength when I first started boxing, and then realizing, oh, okay, you kind of need to shift that up a little bit. We've got 9 minutes to work at the Olympics, and the 3 or 4 years leading up to the Olympic Games, it was myself and my strength coach. You know, I didn't have a lot of external input in terms of my boxing. My technical boxing, like I had a gym partner that I was training alongside, but a lot of it was, I'd like to think I did that myself, you know?
Yeah, so since you brought it up, what's the difference between being an amateur boxer and a professional boxer? So amateur, you don't earn any money, professional you do. Amateurs, shorter fights, professionals, longer fights?
Yes, so completely different sport, and I probably didn't appreciate that during that transitional period. So as an amateur boxer, you fight 3 3-minute rounds at the highest level, 3 3-minute rounds, and as a professional for a world title fight, you fight 12 3-minute rounds. And obviously the gloves change. The gloves, you can choose your gloves. You don't wear headgear. Obviously you don't wear headgear at the top level in amateur boxing either. But for me, I've found the biggest difference between amateur and professional boxing was it's a mentality. It's a shift in mentality between in amateur boxing you're competing against an opponent. In professional boxing, you're fighting. It's a fight, and that's something that I started to kind of learn when I went over to work with like Tyson, the likes of Tyson Fury, Joseph Parker, working in 2 cruiserweight world champions camps as well, Chris Billum-Smith, Lawrence Okoli, and I realized I was like, oh, we're fighting. This isn't something you can't break a man down in 9 minutes, but if you have 45 minutes over the course of 12 3-minute rounds with 1 minute recovery, the adrenaline runs out, the well runs dry, and all of a sudden you've got to dig and find something else, and that's been the biggest learning curve for me, is actually being a little bit more patient, kind of letting go of the reins a little bit, and actually just letting the fight unfold as it does, and not forcing anything. So I guess I can say I owe a lot of that to my new coach, Noel Thornberry. He's kind of really committed to my development, and that's I feel like I've come a long way in the last 18 months, kind of thing.
Oh yeah, no, he's going to come into the conversation
Cool.
later on.
Awesome.
Potentially your
Love
future
that guy.
father-in-law.
Love that guy. Yeah.
Okay, well, since we're on the amateur stuff, let's stick on there for a bit, because there's a lot to chat about with the.
There's a lot, man.
Eh?
How long we gone for? How long you got?
How long have you got?
No, I'm here all
Is
day,
this an
man.
amateur podcast or a professional podcast?
I'm here for the distance, man.
I'm breaking you down over 2 hours.
You ran a marathon. I've only run a half marathon, so we'll see who cracks first.
Okay, so your first fight, do you remember your very first fight? How old are you, 14, 15?
15, yeah, 15. I was 51 kilos, fought a guy with a pretty sweet moustache, a little moustache. He had no fights either.
Same age?
Same age, yep. And I remember getting to the ring. I'd been training for about maybe 8 to 10 months, I want to say, before I got a fight. And I just remember getting to the ring and being like, I can't remember how to do anything. I just, spent.
We're just nervous.
I couldn't remember how to box. Couldn't remember how to box at all. But I ended up stopping him in the 3rd round, but it was just a matter of kind of getting in there and thrashing around. And I think by my 6th fight, I'd kind of developed a little bit. I had a couple of good fights against other novice kids. Won my first North Island Golden Glove title in the novices, so under 10 fights. But I got selected for the Junior World Championships in Kazakhstan, and obviously having won my 6 fights prior, I went in there and I was like, full of beans kind of thing. And do you want me to keep going? Let me know if you want to cut me off or anything, because I'll keep going, man.
No way. I'm invested.
I went to my first international tournament, and it was really funny, because when you're that young and you're that confident and you're that excited about a sport, it's like, I didn't feel like I could lose. I didn't really know how to lose. I didn't really know the landscape of amateur boxing, or which countries were tough, which ones weren't. I drew Ukraine first in my first bout, and I called home to my coach and I said, "Hey coach, I've got this is Rick Ellis from in Hamilton," and I called him and I said, "Yeah, I've drawn Ukraine," and he was like, "Oh yeah, that's good. They're a good, strong boxing nation, but Kiwis tend to do really well against them." And I was like, "Oh sweet." Little did I know they'd won the most Olympic golds at the previous Olympics, I'm pretty sure, and the world champs. And I was like, "Oh, thanks, coach." I was like, "Oh, well, I'm sure I'll do great then." And I went in and beat the kid.
So you did?
Yeah, it wasn't a bad kid actually, and progressed to fight the Russian in my next bout. It might have been round of 16 or quarterfinal or something, and he went on to win the gold, and that was my first loss, and it was like I just didn't really know how to lose at that point. But I feel like that was a really, really kind of good way. I feel like I had the right kind of lead into to an amateur career, and I do owe a lot to Rick from ringside in Hamilton. That was a huge kind of step towards. Oh, it was a very small step towards a massive career, which really feels like it's just getting started now, 14 years later.
Oh, mate, it's been an incredible career so far. So that first loss, like how much did that suck? You learn a lot from it?
I did, yeah. I felt more bummed out that I think that because they scored the fights back then per punch, and I was like, it was 19-10, and I was like, no, I didn't lose that bad. I was more bummed out that he beat me by that much. I was like, it wasn't that close. Oh, it was closer than that. It was closer than that. But I think I learned pretty early that those losses kind of form the way you treat your development beyond that. Like I've learned so much more from my losses than my wins, and I think a lot of the time.
That's like life as well.
You put your losses behind you. No, you put your wins behind you because you're like, been there, done that. What you don't realize is the people that you've beaten, they hold that in their memory a lot clearer than the wins. You know, so the guys that have beaten me to date, I remember every one of them. I don't remember all of my wins. How
many have there been? Your professional record at the time we're recording this, it's like 8. Eight wins from 8 fights, 7 by knockouts.
Yeah, yep. And right. my amateur career, I think, was 98 fights, 85 wins, 13 losses.
Because as a professional, like it's really important to have a clean record. Like as soon as you've lost a fight, you're like damaged goods. Is that how it?
Well, it depends who you're with. Like your promoters. Your promotional team is really important. So if you're a sellable fighter, if you're marketable, if you're exciting, that's really important. If you have a couple of losses but people want to see you fight, people know that they're going to get a good fight. They know that you're going to rip, tear, and bust before you go out. They'll keep paying to see you fight, and they'll want to see you win because you're entertaining. So. A loss in a boxing career it's definitely not the end of the day. It's not the end of the world, but having a clean record, being able to say that no one's beaten you as a professional is huge. It is huge. It's a little bit different when it comes to like UFC and whatnot, because those kinds of sports are like very, very chaotic, and there are so many more elements to it. But in boxing, it's like it's a little bit more damning if you've picked up a few losses and say, for example, if you run out of favor with your promoters, finding another promoter is really difficult, you know.
So you, as an amateur, you did was it 2 Commonwealth Games cycles and 2 Olympic cycles, or 2 comms, 1 Olympics?
2 and 1, yeah. 2 and 1 Com Games.
So you medalled at each of them. You got 2 Commonwealth Games gold and 1 Olympic bronze.
Yeah, it's the wrong colour of gold.
Yeah,
rose gold. It's rose gold. Yeah.
To be sitting here with someone that's got 2 Commonwealth Games gold medals and an Olympic medal, it's phenomenal. It's amazing. But I suppose for you, to win a bronze medal at the Olympics, it still means you've lost somewhere along the line.
Yeah.
So it's bittersweet.
It's bittersweet, 100%. And no one wants to be the third best, No one wants to be the third best. It's like,
you kidding me? Fourth best wants to be third best.
Yeah, if you're not first, you're last, And I have an element of that in my mind. I'm thinking like, a loss is still a loss, and it kind of tarnishes the achievement. But at the same time, knowing what I had to get through to get to that tournament, and the hurdles that you overcome along the way, it's like I'm like I can be proud of myself today, and I've no regrets whatsoever for my amateur career.
No, and nor should you. Are those medals special? Like, where are they? Are they in a sock drawer, or are they framed up somewhere at your parents' house? Or?
I have my Olympic medal in Australia, because obviously I wanted to, show my partner Lexie. I wanted to show her family, and I think my first Com Games gold medal I took to every school. I had my first kind of taste of like fame, and people wanted to talk to me. I was like, that's like for an 18-year-old kid, I was like, it was bizarre. Like I'd never spoken in front of my my high school before. I went to Hamilton Boys High, and the first time I ever spoke in front of them was after I left school. Like I didn't get a hell of a lot of recognition while I was there, but going back there and being like, yeah, I was like not that cool, not that cool, not that smart, not that good at other sports, but here I am. Like but I didn't really think of the medal as I didn't like take good care of it. I think it actually got to the point where my dad asked if he could take it to work and show his work colleagues, and I was like, of course, yeah, take it away. And I didn't see it for a couple months, and I was like, I wonder if he's gonna give it back. You know, I was like, man, hey Dad, have you still got that? And he's like, yeah, I've still got it. I was like, okay, thank goodness. And it might have been my 20th birthday. He gave it back to me in a framed glass case, and it was like, here you go. He's like, stop, like, because it was hanging on by a thread kind of thing. He's like, here you go. But if anyone has kept up with like the history of my medals, I got my 2018 Com Games medal stolen out of my like glove box compartment. I'm not sure if the car was locked or not, but it was on my property, and someone ended up pinching it, and we actually went to the police and put out a we got footage of people. We got footage, long story short, of people involved, and came full circle on it. Ended up back in my capable hands, my not so watertight hands, you know.
What a strange thing to steal, though. Like it means they're worthless, really. Like it's not a precious medal, metal. I mean, but it's it means something to you, but it means absolutely nothing to anyone else.
That's right. It was pretty bizarre. I went on to do a bit of study about like obviously like if you win a Olympic gold medal, I'm like, man, like I wonder how much those are actually worth. Like, because I heard that there was in order to call it a gold medal at the Olympics, there has to be a certain percentage of gold in it. So I was like, if I melted it down, like what could I get? I learned that this sounds terrible, but like the bronze medal, I'm pretty sure it's worth about $20.
Yeah,
pretty sure it's worth about $20.
So it's like the medal you got at the Sydney Half Marathon.
That's right. It
means something to you, but nothing else. So at the Olympics, where you got the bronze, is that where you got bit in the ear? Was that with the ear?
I've been bitten a few times, man.
Have you?
I got bitten on the Gold Coast Com Games. That was on my chest. I got a good little ring from it actually. Like I had to be checked by the
doctor.
The medic to make sure he hadn't broken the skin. And then at the Olympics, a Moroccan boxer. I thought he was trying to bite my face, but like looking at the replay in slow mo, he's trying to get a good. He had his mouth guard in, so he wasn't going to get a really good handle on it. But yeah, took a good crack at it. That was bizarre. But we're already fighting, so I wasn't. It's not like I'm gonna get butt hurt by like someone trying to like bite me when I'm already like I was beating him up. Like
well, obviously it's an act of desperation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't even really blame him, to be honest.
Yeah. And the Olympics, that's where you were joint flag bearer with Sarah Hirini.
Yeah.
God, that must have been, what happens there? Like, when do you hear about it? Like, do you get told a couple of weeks before? Do you get asked if you want to be a flag bearer?
Originally I wasn't supposed to be the flag bearer. It was like a late call up, and it was because Hamish Bond had a scheduling clash. Like I think his competition clashed with the opening ceremony. So I'm very aware I wasn't supposed to be the flag bearer. However, the validation that you get from getting the call up as a Kiwi, and like me personally, I've always felt like I kind of I can blend in, but I haven't always fit in with, say, the Māori culture. Like I don't really have. I'm 75% Pākehā myself, so I've never really felt like I've fit into any one culture. So my culture is very personal. It's my family's culture, you know, and it's only special to us. But having Rob Waddell come and approach me in the village and say, hey mate, like Hamish can't do it, but we as you know, the chef de mission and the rest of the staff in the village would like you to carry it. I was like, come on, man, that's really validating because of all of that. And like, you know, I've that's always been a little bit of an identity crisis to me. I've been like, why can I blend in but not fit in, you know? And so for me that was a really kind of like a turning point where I could say, okay, no, this is who I am, and I am that Kiwi, you know? It was a really, really powerful.
It surprises me that was the moment that you had that sort of epiphany. I thought that would have happened at one of the previous gold medals at the Com Games, you know?
Yeah, but nobody put the cloak, like the cloak around me, you know? Like no one really like I didn't feel blessed. I felt like I'd achieved something. But I didn't feel like I'd been blessed, you know, and like receiving like a tire half from my gym in Hamilton from Cairo George, and like it was blessed by a, you know, I like it, it's something that you can't buy, and you have to be gifted and you have to be given. And so that for me was just validating, and I've always kind of like cherished those moments, and being present in those moments makes me feel like, oh yeah, I belong here, you know? Is that like, I don't know, like I'm not sure.
Special, mate.
Yeah, it was.
I think you're cool. Articulating it really nicely. I can tell just the way you're reflecting on it now. It still means something to you.
Yeah, totally, and I'm still setting out to impress. I'm still trying to like. I'm still trying to impress myself. I'm still trying to impress like my nation. I'm still trying to do everybody that I care about proud, you know. I think like the next generation needs people to needs like inspiration. It needs heroes to kind of validate their own concerns and their own feelings. And it's like I think people. I'd rather be felt than heard, if you know what I mean. Like I'd rather people feel what I feel than just hear me say, hey, you should, you know, like, don't swear, be nice, like, you know, like, I don't know, like, don't litter. It's like, just do good, man, just do good.
Yeah.
Sure.
I feel like you are, does it sit comfortably with you being a role model? I feel like you are a role model, but yet I've heard you and other podcasts or interviews talk about your role models, and your view on it's really good. Your quote was something like, I prefer my role models to be closer to home, like my parents and family and stuff, which I think is how it should be, because if you have sports people as your role models, they're only human. You got no control over their actions. They might let you down. Yeah, not that you ever will.
No, but they do, and like I'm not perfect either. Like I've done bad things. My parents have done bad things, but like knowing their story and being a part of their journey, and like feeling their hurt and feeling their pain, and you know, like knowing that like your parents are flawed and that they make mistakes. Some people don't have those role models to look up to. They don't have something so close to home. But everyone knows Hercules, everyone knows Tarzan, you know, like, so I wanna create a vision and you know, an idea that we can be whoever we want to be, but it takes a very courageous man to break the cycle, you know, to break the cycle that their forefathers kind of like laid out in front of them. And I feel like this generation is better than the last, and I would like for my next generation to be better than mine, you know. I'd like to keep building creating better communities, and like I don't follow many trends or many kind of movements, but this is something very personal to me, and I feel like I'll create my own movement. If you want to follow it, follow it. But if you don't have to. You know, this is very personal.
Yeah, I like that. Why? So you went to the last Olympics and you turned professional after that?
Yeah.
Why did you spend so long as an amateur? So you're an amateur like over 10 years?
Stubbornness, mate. I'm hard-headed. No, because I missed out on the 2016 Olympics by a whisker. So I
You're hanging in there for one more campaign.
I hung out for another 5 years, dude.
You had COVID for a year.
Yeah. So I qualified for the 2020 Olympic Games. The qualification tournament was actually set for Wuhan, China, believe it or not. And if your history's sound, you'll know that's where COVID started.
The wet markets are with the bats.
The bats. Let's start the conspiracy theories. We were 2 days away from flying into Wuhan, China, and my strength coach Sean Patterson had warned me. He was saying, hey, probably nothing to worry about. But there's this virus going around in Wuhan that there are 67 cases right now. Sounds pretty severe, but just be a little bit on guard kind of thing. And we flew to Thailand for our training camp prior to the competition. 2 days before we flew in, there were over 1,000 cases, and the pin was pulled. The qualification tournament was shifted to Amman, Jordan. So, fast forward a couple months, we went to this qualification tournament, qualified, came home, and I was ready to, celebrate with my family. The day after I got back to New Zealand, we went into our first quarantine. I hadn't seen my family yet. I went back to my flat. I hung out with my dog for about, my flatmates and my dog for about a year or however long the first lockdown was. So, it was a bit of an anticlimax, if I'm honest. And the Tokyo Olympics themselves were just bizarre.
Oh yeah, because there were no so you and Sarah Hirini, when you're flag bearers, you got those big masks on. And there were no spectators watching you. Do they have sound effects? Like sound effects of crowd cheering?
Maybe I can't really remember, but the most bizarre thing was looking down the barrel of the camera lenses and thinking, okay, there's no one here, but there's probably a couple billion down there, Totally bizarre, and even the boxing tournament was hosted at a sumo arena, a sumo wrestling arena, and they've got all these amazing banners of all the past and present champions, and it was glorious, and I imagine it with a crowd, it would have been so amazing. But what they did, this was really bizarre, and people probably don't know this, but you'd get in the ring, and I was like, why can I can hear people talking, but there's no one here. They had ambient noise above the ring. They had a speaker above the ring, and I was like, who's controlling that? Because there's no one here. And there was just murmuring in the crowd, and then you start the fight and it gets a little bit louder, and then when it's when you hit when you land a punch, there's some guy with a dial, there's some guy sitting down there, and he goes it's how bizarre is that? I had no and it seems like that I'm not going to say that any fights it might have impacted the decision, but when does the guy know to turn the dial? Who's in charge of the guy with the dial being you know what, this is getting good, it was really weird though, and that was something that I just didn't expect. It was totally bizarre. Totally bizarre.
Does it feel like you were almost in a way cheated out of the authentic Olympic experience? Yes.
However, performance-wise, I think I probably perform better that anyway, So it's kind of a catch-22. But I felt it felt like a really intense sparring session. So I think performance-wise, it probably helped keep me calm and level-headed. I was harboring a pretty nasty injury to my elbow going into it, and I had a ligament holding on by a thread, so I knew if I threw the wrong punch at the wrong angle, that my arm was basically going to become some wet spaghetti. I could probably still use it, but it wouldn't be much good. But yeah, that was like I think having like a quiet arena was actually fine, and it was eerie. It was eerie. So if anything, it was like no other Olympics, for sure.
Yeah, so I think as you get older, I mean, this something like this is unlikely, I would say, touch wood, to ever happen again in your lifetime. So in some ways, this Olympics and the way they were held will become more and more special as more and more Olympic campaigns.
Hope so, yeah.
Are you,
I'd have to go to another one to know the difference, you know?
Comparison.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the amateur versus professional thing. So the thing I'm curious about that is like amateur, you don't make any money, right? Is that right?
Yeah,
or
well, like you can. I think to make money as an amateur boxer in New Zealand, very, very difficult. You have to prove that you're basically able to produce a top 8 result at an Olympics, and to do that, it's like it's a lot of hoops to jump through, and like I had to get pretty good at acrobatics to get there, but like I was able to earn a grant through High Performance Sport New Zealand in order to like keep me going anyway, and that really kind of saved me at a pretty crucial time in 2017, I think was when I first kind of like got that grant, and then I could kind of like, okay, let me focus on training.
Yeah, so I've had Eric Murray on the podcast. He was one of the early guests, and he talked about that high performance grant, and it's I forget how much he said it was, but it's fine, but it's not like a, you know, you're not going to become Tyson Fury, if you know what I mean.
I'm pretty sure there are some countries that like if you win an Olympic medal, you're kind of set for life. You can kind of sit back and like just chill, you know. But if you know, I don't think that would help me in any way, shape, or form. You know, like I always want a goal to chase. So like and making money obviously is important. But it's just a vehicle really. Having financial freedom is great, but like what you do with the rest of your life, it's kind of up to you. But if you kind of if my identity was, oh no, yeah, I'm an Olympic bronze medalist, and that's it, you know. That's kind of me done. I'll see in the next life kind of thing. I was like, come on, man, I was 26 or something, you know. Yeah.
Well, I suppose maybe I'm just more focused on money and dollars than what you are, but it just seems to me like boxing's such a finite career. Like so, both say 35 to maybe 40 at the oldest, you're completely done. And you've devoted so much of your life to it, and at such a high level as well. Like you want to have something to show at the end of it, I guess. Yeah.
I think there are a lot of boxers, like the ones that make it to the top and the ones that don't quite make it to the top. That you know, it doesn't matter how much money they have made along the way. A lot of them stumble over, and they haven't got their life planned out beyond boxing. And I'm promising to myself right now that I won't be that guy, you know. So I'm planting seeds right now to not necessarily for like find. I like my goal isn't to make heaps of money and be really rich. Obviously I'd like to have financial freedom, but beyond boxing, I'd like to do a lot more good, and like be remembered for the good I did, not the people I kicked the shit out of, you know.
and there have been people, and there will be more people that you kick.
Yeah.
Well, not kick the shit, punch the shit out of.
Yeah. What
was your fastest fight? Like there was one that I saw on YouTube. It was like 12 seconds, 16 seconds.
Yeah, I think 12 seconds was my PB.
Unreal.
Like there was a weird fight actually. I was fighting in Albania. I was trying to qualify for the 2014 Commonwealth Games, and I went over there with like one coach. It wasn't my coach, but he was a coach that kind of offered to go over. Cam Todd. He was like really good guy, and he took me over there, and like I needed to win a certain medal, and like I came up against a Macedonian fighter. I was like, Macedonian's good? I'm not really sure. And I think I hit the guy with like two right hooks to the body and then one right hook to the head, and he went down, and I was like, oh, like I guess they're not that.
This is awkward.
I guess they're not great, but I was like, wow. Next day I sat at breakfast with him, and he didn't speak any English. His coach did though. And he told me it was his first fight, and I was like, oh, okay. It's like, why would you put him in? Why would you put him into an international competition if he's never had a fight before?
Oh, did you feel, being the nice guy you are, did you feel mean at that point?
No, I thought his coach was a dickhead. You know? I was like, come on, man. Like, think about it.
So you said you got that guy with 2 right hooks to the body and then 1 to the head. Where does it hurt the most to be hit? As someone that's never been hit.
Probably the liver. So your liver kind of sits on the right side of your rib cage, and like doesn't matter how tough you are, if you got 1 ab or 85, like that's gonna sink a lot of ships, man. In terms of like that's probably, if I were to get knocked out, I'd rather get hit in the head than to the liver, I think, because you feel all of that, and it's like.
Have you ever been badly hurt?
I've been hurt, yeah. Like the times I have been really hurt, I think, the times I have been really hurt, sometimes it's harder to see. Other times you might get, say, like a grazing punch on the top of the head, and something about it, like I don't quite know the entire anatomy of my brain, but you get clipped on the top of the head, and it just completely, like, your legs just turn to absolute jelly kind of thing. I'll tell you what, the most painful place to get hit is probably square in the nose, right? Square in the nose, because it's like I feel like there's a lot of nerves, a lot of sensitive nerves around the front and center of your face. Back of your head, I think it's like more of a blackout spot. So like say if you get up and you're really lightheaded, it's like pop, like black. It's like black and white. Side of the head, like right in the temple, that's probably like KO. That's probably like you get knocked out there, and then the top of the head is the legs. That's what I think anyway. Forehead, you break your hand. Yeah, I've had a few of them actually. I think I've broken my hands all together probably like maybe 5 or 6 times. All of them on heads. All of them on like forehead or top of heads.
Through the gloves.
Through the gloves, man. Like and the amateur gloves, you have to remember, they're not designed to like knock people out. They're designed to protect your hands and protect your opponent. But you hit someone on the top of the head, it's really, really hard. It's really, really hard. It's the hardest bone in your body, I'm pretty sure. And I've pulled plugs of bone off. I've fractured they literally call it a boxer's fracture, where you snap the neck of your metacarpal, and none of them are fun. Sure.
So last year you went to a place called Morecambe.
Yeah.
What's the Fury reality series? Have you seen that on Netflix?
Yeah,
Is it Meet the
yeah.
Furies?
It's
At
like
Home with the Furies?
Yeah, At Home with the Furies. That's right. Yeah.
Morecambe looks like a bleak place.
Yeah. It's all right. It's all right.
So how did you end up over there? Was that through your friendship or mentorship with Joseph?
Yeah, pretty much.
Right.
Pretty much. And David Higgins has had a lot to do with my kind of progression actually through my early stages in my professional career. So like big shout out to him, because him and Duco have done like so much for me without really kind of asking for much recognition, and they kind of sit in the back a little bit, because I believe they're mostly event managers or like creators.
Yeah, their big thing now is that Symphony event.
Yeah, and that Black Clash, everything like that. Like but yeah, they've done a lot for me. So getting over to that camp, Joseph was and has been like a mentor for me. I feel like I've learned so much through him, and I never felt like I could ask like a dumb question, So he's been a brother to me, which is really, really cool. And I think having those mentors in a sport like boxing is like I can't even tell you how important it is, because like I said earlier, there are so many boxers that have been abused by the sport, and none of them know they're being abused at the time. None of them know, because
in terms of like shady management and things.
Management.
David Tour comes to mind, like with
100%,
his dealings with whatever his manager's name was.
Yeah, like 100%. That's been a recurring theme in the boxing world, and it's so easy to be abused when you actually love the sport. You love the sport, and you give everything. You literally give your life to it, and you come out with no money and CTE. You've got like concussive trauma. So.
Be hard, especially if you're a trusting person as well.
100%, yeah, and like I am that guy. I tell you what, like I've developed a few trust issues along the way, and I think they served me really well. Like just being a little bit weary when it comes to there are a lot of promoters that are like they're really good at their job. A lot of the big promoters, they can sweet talk you and like make you feel really good about yourself, but at the end of the day, you're another pawn on their chessboard. And if I am the main character. I am the main character. I'll be the side character as long as I'm learning. As long as I can like sit in the back and learn from what's going on around me. But at the end of the day, we're all the main characters of our own story. If we don't take ownership of that and actually grab life by the balls, and actually go for it, we're not gonna reach our potential. But along the way, you get shady people, and they're always going to be wolves at the door that want to kind of like cut your lunch. But I think there are so many boxers that just aren't aware of it until it's too late, and their careers kind of like already swelling down the toilet.
Yeah, and I suppose that's where you go back for just one more silly fight or whatever.
Yeah,
just try and recoup some of the losses.
There is a bit of that. There is a bit of that. But yeah.
So you go over to Morecambe as Joseph's guest, I guess. How intimidating is that? Walking into a gym with like Tyson Fury, Tommy Fury, Sonny Bill. He was there at the same time, right?
Yeah. It's bizarre. The whole thing was like a bit of a trip.
Wow.
But
I saw stuff on Joseph's Instagram stories. It was like it was just a who's who of international sport.
Yeah. Like I tell you what, Sonny Bill's a good dude. I learned a lot from Sonny Bill, and like talking to him about his faith and stuff. I really, really appreciated how far he's come in his life, not just obviously his career, but he's a top dude, man. And I feel really blessed to have spent a bit of time with him, with Joseph. Tyson is one of a kind. Oh no, sorry, I should say two of a kind. Him and John Fury are like,
the dad.
He's a carbon copy. Only he's a little bit more filtered, like John's hilarious. John is like one of the most entertaining men I've ever met. Same with Tyson, but it was like what you see is exactly what you get. Well, whatever you've seen on social media with the Furies is exactly what you get. The TV show, I'm not sure did it justice. I think they take a little bit of an angle, like they want to tell their own story, but what you see of Tyson Fury is exactly who he is, and he's I've never felt like a fraud before, but he made me feel like I was someone, like I was acting like I was someone I wasn't, because he would tell you exactly what he's thinking, no matter how it will make you feel. If it's offensive, if he attacks your person, it's like, okay, you're gonna have to take that on. You can't beat him up, can you? 'Cause you're gonna have to listen to it and just swallow it, But no, like I appreciated that honesty, because in a sport like boxing, you only get one shot at it. If people are gonna tiptoe around you, kind of thing, and blow smoke up your butt, like you're not gonna learn. You're not really gonna learn, aren't you? And
you start to believe your own hype, which is a very dangerous spot.
That's really dangerous, and I've been a victim of that 100%. And I feel, I'm glad I'm aware of it, at least, because I think a lot of people believe it until the balloon pops, and then.
Yeah. So you meet Tyson Fury. You say, "Hi, I'm David from New Zealand." Is he aware of you? Has he watched some of your fights? Does he have any idea who you are?
Can't really remember, actually. No, I don't think so.
What does he say on the first meeting?
Well, so I flew into Morecambe, and Joseph came and picked me up from Manchester Airport and said, "Oh, we're going to go have lunch with Tyson." Oh no, sorry. We were going to go back to the hotel. He's like, "Oh, I'm going to go have lunch with Tyson and them." And I get a call from one of Tyson's close friends and says, "Hey, like, are you still coming to lunch?" And he says, "Yeah, I'm just going to drop Dave back to the apartment." And he says, "Oh, just bring him along. Just come straight in. We're already here." So he was like, "Oh, well, Dave, do you want to come?" And I was like, I'd just come off like 35 hours of travel. I was wearing like a dirty dirty hoodie, and like I felt terrible and stinky, and I was like, okay, well, yeah, of course. Like, I'm not gonna say no, am I? But I don't think he'd just come home from his third fight, his trilogy bout against Deontay Wilder. So he still had like a black eye and was kind of just still celebrating the win and stuff. And it was totally bizarre. Like, ended up having a few beers with them and like dehydrated, super dusty, and I was like, what is going on? Where am I? What's going on? But I've always been, like I said before, I am a bit of a people pleaser. I don't want to like ruffle anyone's feathers. So I've been like, I'm a bit of a yes man. I'm like, you want a beer? Yeah, all right. Like Tyson Fury offered it to you, you know. So I've kind of, I appreciated the time I had there because I learned so much, and just by being there and say I got to spar a lot of his sparring partners in his preparation to fight Dillian White, and I performed really, really well, and like I got the nod from, you know, his manager, from Tyson. Tyson came and sat in my corner for some of the sparring, and kind of like helped me along the way, and so I gained their trust, their respect, and actually they're bringing me into their camp for the Usyk fight and February 17th. Yeah, so
oh my god, amazing!
It's worked out, dude. So that he came to watch my bout in Melbourne, where I fought predominantly as a southpaw, as a left-handed fighter, and I got a call about a week ago. I'm not sure when you're going to drop this, but I got a call about a week ago asking if I would go and be one of the sparring partners. And on top of that, they want to put me on the card. So wow. That's the next step, man. That's my that's where I'm headed from here. They're talking about potentially putting a deal together in Saudi Arabia. So
so is that a big deal because you get to train with those guys in that environment, or is it a big deal because you get to be on the same card and it pays some good money?
Yeah, it's everything. So like obviously getting the nod from his team and saying, hey, we want you to come and work with the heavyweight world champion in the biggest clash in recent heavyweight boxing history. So this is the first time since 1999, Mike Tyson's era. Mike Tyson was the last person to unify the heavyweight world championship. And fast forward 25 years, we're doing it again, and I'm one of the sparring partners. So I'm like, oh, that's neat. That's validating again. So like I shed a little tear for that one. I was like, yeah, that's a nod, man. That's a nod. And I feel like I've done I've sat quietly and I've appreciated where I am, when I was, and who I am, and now like things are starting to come together, and like the universe I feel like is smiling, and I'm just gonna lean into it and kind of send it, you know. This is next of it. This is the prelude's over. Now I can start talking my shit, you know.
Oh, it's been a big apprenticeship.
100%.
It's been many years.
14 years, man. That's half my life. I'm 28 years old.
Yeah, and as I said before, it's a finite career as a boxer. You know, you only have so many good years. So you spar with Tyson then?
I sparred once with him. I think he'd had a surgery recently, so like it wasn't the heaviest sparring, but they're bringing me in for a 5-week camp in Saudi Arabia to prepare for one of the biggest clashes in recent history.
Unreal.
Awesome,
so you hit him as hard as you can when you're sparring with him, or
not that time? No,
right.
that time because he was like recovering from an injury, but I don't think I need to hold back being a cruiserweight fighter against you know the 270 pound fully fledged world champion heavyweight boxer. I reckon I could probably let a couple slip, and he won't be
he'll be fine.
He'll be fine. Yeah, exactly.
He won't hold a grudge.
Exactly. Yeah.
David, dial it back.
Hey.
I heard I thought I heard something or read somewhere that when you first met him, he basically pulled your boxing game to bits.
Yeah. Like, and like I respected it, but I also kind of understood. I was like, okay, so I'm not going to undo everything. Like, I'll undo a few bits. I understand what you're saying, but the biggest thing that I learned was more what we were talking about before is that it's the fight game, it's the hurt game, it's not a competition. You're not competing against someone. You're trying to break their will and like dig into their deepest, darkest secrets to find out where their weaknesses lie, you know. And it's a brutal sport like that. And I've taken my lumps, you know, along the way. I've been humbled, and now is my time to actually make a run for a world title. It's exciting, man.
Mate,
I'm really pumped, man.
It's incredibly exciting, and you deserve it as well.
Yeah.
Couldn't happen to a nicer person.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really nice.
And Tommy and Molly, did you have anything to do with them? There's like a slight sort of tenuous link there, I guess, because your partner was in Love Island, Australia.
No, yeah.
Were you training with him? He was been training at the gym, right?
Yeah, no. So he was in camp while I was over there. Obviously, he fought on Tyson's undercard for that Dillian White fight. So I was one of the I sparred with Tyson and but more so Tommy in his prep for that fight. But he's lovely. He's actually like a really down to earth dude, and he seems like the kind of guy that is a little bit guarded because of what social media can do to people, and you know,
especially at that level.
Yeah, and I it took me a little bit of time to kind of get through to a lot of the team, but I kind of I think they kind of just appreciated that I just got stuck in, did my thing and got out. I didn't bother anyone. Like, you know, I was spending $100 a night of my own money to live in an attic while I was there for about 6 months. And like, I didn't bother anyone. I didn't ask, you know, I wasn't asking to be picked up. I wasn't asking to be dropped off. I wasn't asking for any special treatment. I went over there and I did exactly as I was told, but I was always extending a hand and trying to help, you know, and I feel like, you know, I feel like there's a lot of good karma out there, and like I feel like that's just kind of coming back around, because I've been the support person for so long, and now I'm finally getting some just dues, which is really cool. It gives me a lot of faith in what it means to be like a good person and stuff. So it's neat.
Do you practice gratitude, or is this just like an inbuilt sort of personality trait of yours?
What's I think it's just
like having a gratitude journal where each day you write down a few things you're thankful for, and it's something I always thought it was a bit sort of woo-woo, but once you do it for a while, you do become just more consciously aware of all the things you do have.
Okay.
But it feels like you've just sharpened that pencil without even trying.
Yeah, my mum taught me. She gave me a couple of pieces of advice, and I'm pretty sure she got this from her mum, which she says, do something every day for yourself, and do something every day for someone else, and that could be like big or small. Do something nice for yourself. I had a couple beers before I came here, and you know, like just do something simple, and hold a door open for someone when they if they want to walk into it. You know, it's like, it's basically, it is just being a good person. It's like, just do something every day, and like, if you remind yourself every day, all of a sudden that will start becoming a habit, you know, it'll start becoming a habit. And then I kind of lay it on top of that, on those two ideas. Do something every day that scares you. So, if you're scared of heights, if you've got social anxiety, talk to someone, give someone a compliment, you know, like go up the sky tower. You know, like there's so many things you can do. I have a cold shower every day because I'm scared and I don't like it. You know, but it's like when you start doing those things every day, and like I'm guilty of like letting that slip as well. But it's just something that I've always kind of been in the back of my mind. I'm like, it's so easy and it's actually just fun. It's like okay, well, like if you want to do something right now, give someone a compliment, you know?
Yeah, it's good. Makes them feel good, makes you feel good.
Yeah.
It's a win-win.
I know there are so many cultures out there that, like, if you're suffering from depression, they tell you to go and, like, do something for someone else, you know? Go spend a bit of time at an orphanage, or go Like I did a lot of fostering for the SPCA for a while while I was in New Zealand, and every day I was just like that's kind of I try to take myself out of my own mind, because a sport like boxing is so it's so draining, and like you spend so much time thinking about yourself, and I feel like you know, you're talking about like money and stuff. People count their pennies and they're like, well, how can I get more of these pennies? And it's like, well, just don't worry about it. Like if you keep doing the right thing and you keep offering a hand and extending a hand, not like, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of people that don't deserve it, but you can make people feel really silly when they you know, when they don't deserve it, and you still go and lend a hand. And I think it's just a great kind of attitude to live by, because in this world there are enough assholes out there today. There are enough villains. Like, it's better to just be the hero, and if that hero just means like helping an elderly lady get up the stairs or something, do it, man. Do it. You'll never regret it. You'll never regret it.
Yeah. Speaking of that, you had a job at a rest home once. You were like a dishwasher at a...
That's my only job, man.
It's the only job you've had. When was
Hated
that?
it.
School age or...
Yeah, I was 16.
Like an after school job.
Yeah, I worked... that was the only... I think they're called pay slips, right? That was the only pay slip I've ever received. It was cleaning dishes for about 4 hours for 3 nights a week.
Why did it suck so much?
I just realized, I was like, oh, I'm not going to do this. This definitely isn't for me. I'm not like, and imagine doing that 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. I was like, I would really, really suffer. I'd really suffer if I didn't have the same kind of purpose that I have today. And like, I encourage everybody to learn from that, and to think, okay, well, can I do a bit more? Or can I do a bit better? Like, you don't necessarily have to do more, but when I say better, I mean, do it for the right reasons, you know? Like, are you doing it to stay alive? Are you doing it to like just survive? Or do you want to actually see improvement every day? And like, when you see improvement in external things, people, you feel better about yourself, and like you see growth in yourself. I like truly believe in that. And yeah, I think that comes from being raised right, man. I feel like I've got good parents that like love me, and feel very lucky.
Yeah, they've done a good job. But then you've done a lot of work on yourself as well as an adult. Yeah. And I read about your 3 core values: integrity, loyalty, resilience. So were you raised with them? Is that something from your parents? Or
no,
is
that was
something?
Dave Galbraith. Have you heard of Dave Galbraith? He's sports psychologist. He's written a book, Chasing Greatness. He's worked with the All Blacks and whatnot.
Yeah.
I tell you what, get him on the podcast if you can. He's a bit of a wizard, and he felt like one of my kind of guardian angels when things got tough. Even though I didn't even spend much time with him, it was just a few little key things that he kind of taught me about, like doing like senseless acts of beauty, and like that's kind of like doing things that won't make sense to anybody else, but you'll actually it's so liberating and freeing when you can kind of do something for no real reason, but it's beautiful. Like, but just be yourself when no one else is expecting it, you know. I think he kind of taught me to hold those values, and to actually be don't filter yourself. If you're not a bad person, don't filter yourself, and that's kind of like stuck with me, because if you're any decision you make should be based around those core values, right? And given that idea, every decision you make should be easy if it fits those three values, you know. If you're thinking, oh, should I eat that chocolate bar? It's like, hey, okay, well, my loyalty says, you know, like I've you know, I've spent a lot of time with my nutritionist, and she said don't. You know, I'm loyal to her, and I'm resilient. You know, so I'm gonna stick to my routine, and my integrity is like, come on, you know, you shouldn't. You know, you shouldn't eat that chocolate bar, Dave. But I eat that chocolate bar sometimes, man, because sometimes you have to treat yourself, man.
And you're only human as well.
Yeah,
and you can't get too hard
I've got
on
this.
yourself.
I've got this Ugandan metabolism as well, so that does me some solids, man.
Yeah, you mentioned, it may have just been a throwaway comment, but you mentioned Dave Galbraith came into your life when things got tougher. Is this in reference to just leading up to the Olympics when you suffered some poor mental health?
DG came into my life way before that. Well before that. I might have been 17, and I only saw him like a handful of times, and I never felt like I needed to see him. I never felt like I needed to see him. Well, the times that I did feel like I needed some advice or I needed to see someone about it, the advice he gave me was so simple, and it's not like, it's so holistic, and it's so kind of like, I would kind of just think, I was like, what would DG say? What would DG say? You know, and that was enough for me to kind of like throw myself back on track. But I really loved the way he kind of illustrated his ideas. I love like a good analogy. You know, I love an analogy. I love someone give me an idea. Don't tell me what to do and why to do it, but just like tell me a story. You know, tell me a story, and that's kind of helped me through a lot of dark times. But the times leading up to the Olympics, that was more a matter of kind of unpacking my first my first very limited, might I add, experience with depression. And that's like I remember kind of like going through the motions and being like, well, I'm healthy, like, you know, I'm fit, healthy, I've got a good family, you know, I've lived with my dog's great, like people love me, what am I missing, you know? And it was at the time it felt so irrational that I should feel so sad. And as men, I think a lot of us think, oh, you know, if you want to, you give people advice and you say, you know, there's a lot of people worse off than you are, so you know, don't beat yourself, you get on with it, kind of thing. But at the end of the day, our problems are relative to ourselves, and my lack of purpose during that time was what made me feel really terrible. And you know, like because they kind of pulled the Olympics for a while, and I was like, well, I've spent, you know, the last 11, however long it was, about 11 years trying to get to those Olympics. So I didn't. Of course, it was rational. Of course, I should feel like crap, you know. But there was no immediate solution to that. The solution was kind of bit of self chat, bit of talking to others. But I did find I started a bit like overcompensating a little bit. I felt like I spoke a few too many things into existence that I could deal with at that time. So when you say things out loud, you hear it, and it's like, oh shit, you can't, it's gone now. I can't get that back, you know. So it's like I said it, so now you have to deal with it, right? Yeah. So for me, I felt like it was just it was a problem, and then as a man, you're like, oh, better fix it. But I spent a little bit too long kind of like dwelling on it, and I felt like I opened the floodgates and let in some bad stuff as well. I let in some demons in that time, and like obviously you don't want to be the victim all the time, and I felt like I kind of leaned into it, and I kind of relied on people's sympathy, and I was like, well, that doesn't help, does it? And like at some point you need to like switch off the valve and get to work, you know. Like we do have to grit our teeth, and like playing the victim all the time won't get you anywhere in the long run. We actually, I think men especially, you need to fix a problem, and you can't do that without gritting your teeth and actually doing the work. And I'm really proud to say that I like made it through that, because like I said, everyone's problems are relative, you know. Like there are a lot of people out there suffering from illnesses that I can't even imagine, you know.
Oh yeah, bro. Yeah, I mean, there's that saying, comparison is the theft of joy. But if you compare down, you never have to look far to find someone that is a lot happier with a lot less.
That's right. Yeah,
And
100%.
mate, one thing I've got from this podcast is everyone deals with some adversity. Like
Yep.
nobody gets through life unscathed,
Yep.
and you're either going to have some shit to deal with, or you've got some shit to deal with, or
Yeah,
you've had
I
some
like
shit
that.
to deal with. But you need to be tougher than the problem.
I like
you need
that.
to,
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to quote David Goggins, like callous your mind.
Yeah. And that was you know, in this day and age, in this kind of society, we do sugarcoat things a lot, and like we have to remember what kept us alive all these millions of years is we don't have a choice. We don't have a choice. Like we have to survive. We have to you know, like I had an epiphany not long ago. I was like, you know, when a lion gets hungry, right? They literally have to get off their ass, chase something, grab it, kill it with their mouth, eat it raw. All of it. Just eat all of it. Like, do you want to eat the eyeballs? Not really, but like, oh, I guess I better, you know?
Yeah.
Like, imagine that. I highly doubt there were many like suicides back in the caveman days, you know? It's like, oh, well, I can't really afford to do that. I've got to stay alive, you know?
Yeah. Families got to eat. I got shit
Yeah,
to do.
yeah. And like,
Well, suicide would have been easy back then. They just go in front of a lion.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like everyone ran, right? Everyone ran because they want to survive.
Yeah.
But I feel like today we've got so many kind of distractions and like so many things that are like don't actually matter. They don't actually matter. Like social media doesn't actually matter, and like it's more of a distraction. It's more of a distraction from much more dire things that are going on in the world, and that's why I don't want to be distracted by any of the trends that are going to take away from what's really important, you know.
Yeah, but during this this confusing time leading up to the Olympics, where I suppose you sort of lost your purpose, or you weren't sure. I suppose you felt like a boat that just had no sail, that was just like bobbing around in the ocean.
Exactly.
But you were recording like pieces to camera on a GoPro, like a video diary, and you never posted them.
Oh,
what have you done with them? Have you deleted them? You still got them?
No, they're still there. But
how do you feel when you watch them back? What's the sort of content of them?
Yeah, really interesting question. I feel validated that like those times, like I watch myself and I'm like, oh, you were really, really sad, like, yeah, and you had a good reason to be sad, but at the time when you're in it, you don't know. You don't know what you don't always know what the problem is. You don't always know what the solution is, and it seems like the like hope starts to kind of like fade, right? And you're like, imagine, like, I try to imagine if I didn't have all the things that I had, you know, if I didn't have all the like those core things that make me feel joy and make me feel love and like all the good, all the warm fuzzies, you know, and I'm like, oh, like you have every right to feel that way, but I feel like that the main lesson I learned from that was, you have to feel the way you're feeling, and like talk to people, understand the problem, but then you have to solve it. You can't leave the faucet open because creepy crawlies will get in there and they'll lay eggs and they'll create webs. They'll set traps, and it's like next time water comes through, you're not gonna want to drink it. You know, like that's poison. So for me, I kind of use that to really like. You have to understand that we're all flawed, you know. We're all flawed, and like we're not bulletproof as much as I've always felt bulletproof, you know. Like we're gonna have times like that, but there's so much we can learn from just looking inwards and asking for help.
Yeah. Will you ever share those videos or no?
I don't know. I probably will. I probably should. I probably should. There's similar to what I'm saying now, that would be opening the faucet. So for me personally, I want to speak from a position of power, a position of like when I achieved, when I got to the Olympics, and when I achieved the things I set out to do, then you can talk about those things. Then you can speak about them as a success story, because they weren't a success story at the time, right? And one day when I'm done competing, there's no drawbacks to showing weakness in the public eye. It might be worth doing that, but for now it's a personal diary for me to look back on and to kind of reminisce, because that's feeling sad is great. Feeling sad is good for you. If you can cry, if you can feel sad, it means you're loved. There's no sunshine without rain.
Yeah, are you quite good at showing vulnerability?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's never been an issue for me. But at the same time, I'm aware that showing too much vulnerability for too long, you start becoming that frail character that you start paying too much attention to it. And if I were to post those videos now, I'd be speaking them into existence for everybody to see, for everybody to hear. And whatever comes back in, if I read that, or if it comes back full circle and someone says it to my face, that's one of my problems with social media today, is people have a direct link to your consciousness, so they can message you and your leg will buzz. Let me find out what anyone has to say.
Oh, it's Dom again.
Anyone
asking about the podcast.
Damn.
We'll move on from this in a second, because I can tell you're in a good place now. But you must have been when you were in this mental health slump, which is the first time you've ever experienced it in your life. You must have been really wearing your heart on your sleeve, because I even heard a story about Sarah Walker, the famous BMXer, coming up to you in the gym one day and asking if you're okay.
She was the first one. And
she would just tell you weren't yourself, or
don't know, but
that's pretty cool.
That was another light bulb moment where I was like, I wonder if she saw that, or if she was just asking, And after that, I started seeing sadness everywhere I went. There were other athletes in the gym, and I was like, man, I think I talked to my partner at the time, and I said, she just asked me, and I could easily have just said, yeah, I'm fine. But sometimes,
now,
and it's like, all it took was being like, oh yeah, things have been a bit tough. Such and such is happening. It's a bit weird, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, you're doing a great job. Cool. But it's all of a sudden you take 6 layers off, and you're like, man, that feels great. And after that, I sat on that for a while, and I was like, I started all of a sudden people watching became way more interesting, because I was like, oh, that person's hurting. That person's hurt, And you start appreciating some people that maybe you didn't appreciate before, because it's like, oh, they're damaged, they're damaged goods, and maybe they need a hand, and it actually takes a strong person to. It's one of those things, like I was saying, do something for someone else. Just ask them if they're all good, And obviously you don't want to become that vice for someone, because like I said, the more I talked about it, the more I kind of leaned into that idea of being like, oh, you know what, I am frail, and I'm a man, and I need to feel like I've got, I can fix things, and that I'm powerful, and that I'm strong, so I'm thinking, I acknowledge the problem, then I got to do something about it. And whatever that takes, I'll do it. Because now it's out there. If I just leave it there, it's gonna fester, and it's gonna sit in the back of my mind. I'm like, I wonder if the person that I said that to is still thinking about it, and still thinking about how I'm doing. And you start processing what that might have meant to them, or what that might have meant to other people. But it's like, beyond that moment, you get through that task, and then you say, Dave, you did a good job. You give yourself a pat on the back, because because you have to treat yourself, and that's I think that's really important.
Well, thanks for sharing that stuff.
No,
I appreciate it. Appreciate you being so open about it. All right, have we got time for one more round? Ding, 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 ding.
Dude,
Okay, let's talk about Lexie.
Yeah, my baby.
Lexie, your baby. So, so she was on Love Island Australia. I believe the relationship started as a DM slide. She slid into your DMs. You read it, left her on scene, and ignored it.
Yeah, I don't think I opened it. So she was in my request.
Oh right, okay.
She was in my request. I didn't open it
because you were in a relationship at the time.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So you didn't even read it.
From memory, there was a time. I remember scrolling through like my explore page, and I don't follow any Love Island anything about Love Island, but like, because it's so big across New Zealand, Australia, I had been scrolling through, and like they all come up with a fluoro coloured line down the side of the square, and I was like, this is really weird. And I'd like kind of gone, and I was like, so what's this all about? They're all through my explore page, and obviously it's that popular, it's that big in like Australasia, and I remembered a DM coming through from someone from Love Island. I was like, that's kind of flattering, right?
Because it had the verified tick or whatever.
I saw her profile picture was because she had just come off the show, so she still got that photo with the fluoro thing down the side, and I was like, that's like flattering, right? Flattering, and I was like, I left it. Fast forward.
You didn't even read it. You didn't even open it and read it.
From memory, it was something really silly, and it was something like, I'd let you punch me in the face or something.
Okay.
That's what she said. And she probably remembers exactly what she said, but I can't quite remember. But
when she hears this, you're in so much trouble.
No. She thinks it's hilarious, but like, she was so ashamed when she got she got a phone call from her dad saying, "Hey, yeah, so I've like her dad Noel, like he calls everyone. He's a call guy. He calls everyone. So like I get a phone call from him every day while I'm here pretty much, and he says, "Oh yeah, I've got a New Zealand boxer that's coming to train with us for 4 weeks," and she was like, "What's his name?" And he was like, "Oh, it's David Nyika." And she was like, "You're kidding, and so like fast forward, I'm like training with the Thornberrys, and they do a Sunday lunch every Sunday, and we watch the fights, and their extended family comes down. So the grandparents are over, like the families, the siblings are over, and I meet Lexie. She pulls in her like beat up Hyundai i30 or something. It's like an old beat up car. She comes out, and she's like full hair and makeup, and her family's looking at her like, what's she doing? And I meet her, and like obviously I'm respectful, and like I'm like, obviously she looks really, really nice, like adorable, gorgeous, and I make a conscious effort not to look at her because
you're being Mr. Nice Guy.
Yeah, because I'm being respectful, right? And so we're watching the boxing, and I didn't hear this, but apparently her nana says to everybody when I went to the toilet, they go, "He must be gay. He didn't even bloody look at her."
Go Nan.
Yeah, go on Nan. And yeah, like there was like this funny thing going on for a while where like we clicked like immediately, and it was like I was already like really close with I say really close, but I get on with all her siblings, her brothers. They are all boxing as well, so we're training together every day. She's training. She's coming up from Brisbane a lot more often apparently, and like, her parents are saying, "Oh, it's really nice having Lexie around more." And I'm like, "What? Does she not come up? Does she not usually come up this often?" And they're like, "Nah." And
The penny must have dropped for you. Like you're not you're a nice guy, but you're not naive.
yeah,
You must be like, oh yeah, I see what's
I
happening.
can't, like, part of me hoped for that. Part of me hoped for it, but at the same time, I'm thinking, okay, Dave, like, keep your head on. You're only here for 4 weeks. Don't go and like become a home wrecker by doing something silly when you're gonna be leaving in a few weeks anyway. And so I get through this fight, and I wasn't really satisfied. It was actually a difficult fight, and it was obviously working with a new coach, and we'd only been working together for 4 weeks. I'd had a couple of like tough and like niggly sparring sessions, and I was like, after the performance, I was thinking, I'm not really happy with it, and I didn't actually have any plans back in the UK. And so Noel had said, well, there's another card coming up that I'm pretty sure I could get you on if you'd like to. And I said, yeah, sure. I think a lot of the stuff that we'd been working on, we hadn't really been able to implement it in sparring, let alone into a fight. And so I was like, okay, yeah, let's keep trying. And so over the course of the next maybe 2 months, I'm training with Noel, with his sons, and Lexie's coming and like spending a lot of time. And we'd gotten like quite close by this time. And I remember like it was like a really awkward conversation I had with Noel. It wasn't even a conversation. We were at sparring. I was at another gym in Brisbane for sparring, and he had I was checking my weight on the scales. He was like, "How heavy are you? You look pretty lean right now." And I was like, "Yeah, I'll go check." So we went into like it was kind of like a little kitchenette area, and it was like kind of dark. And I like jumped on the scale, and we'd been talking about how, because me and Lexie had been hanging out quite a lot, and I said to him, I was like, "Oh, like yeah, like really like Lexie, eh?" And I was kind of explaining to him, I was like, "Yeah, we've like she's like a really cool chick, you know, like we like really get on kind of thing." And I didn't get any response. I just got, and I had no idea what to think of that. And like by this point, we'd like I'm pretty sure we'd like become intimate, you know.
Yeah.
And so I was like dreading that conversation, but I couldn't not say something, you know. I couldn't not say something because I was like, I actually really, really respect Noel. I respect their entire family, and I'd spoken to my dad at home back in New Zealand, saying, just it seems a little bit wrong, and like it's almost too good to be true, right? Because I've finally found a coach that I trust. You know, they'd put me into a house. Like I'd come straight from the UK, where I was spending $100 a night to live in an attic, and they'd freed up a space. He's in real estate, so he was able to take a property that was like kind of vacant, and he'd gotten permission to let me stay there while I was training. And I was like, "Dad, this seems kind of off and a little bit wrong. Like I need I'm asking for advice." And he says, "Hey man, like the universe is speaking and it's smiling, so just lean into it, you know, just trust it. You know, obviously be yourself. Like you're not doing anything wrong. You're not a bad person. And that's one of the best decisions I've ever made, man." Really cool.
I can tell your eyes light up when you talk about it. How long has it been now?
We're about officially we're probably between about 18 months, almost 18 months, I think. Yeah.
And say her dad Noel was like, "Actually, I'm not okay with this. It's like me and the boxing training, and I'm your coach, or it's my daughter. Up to you. Which way would you have gone?"
I'd 100% respect that. I would 100% respect that. However, I think they all knew that I'm really, really good for her.
Yeah.
And I'm good for, you know, I'm really close with her siblings. You know, I've like spent a lot of time with them in the gym, with them like socially. You know, like Cassidy, her middle brother, was having like kind of like girl issues at the time, and I kind of came in and like really G'd him up, and I was like, because he's the like honestly like probably one of the nicest guys I've ever met, like to a fault. And so I kind of like gave him a bit of like I G'd him up and made him feel really good, and he ended up like he's like the coolest dude now with an awesome girlfriend. So I felt like I was really, really good for her and for their family, and so it's actually ended up being one of the biggest blessings, I think, for myself and for their family as well.
Oh, it's a win-win. And also
100%.
serendipitous. Like the fact that she was thirsty for you,
Bizarre.
tried to slide into your DMs,
Bizarre.
and then next thing you know, you're working with her dad. I mean, what the fuck?
It's manifestation, dude.
Manifestation.
Yeah, isn't that bizarre? I was like, she said I was the only person she'd ever DM'd. Like, she'd never gone and she said she deleted the message. She never talked to anyone else because she was like ashamed. She thought she was really cool because she had just got off Love Island. She was like, that's my celebrity crush. That's my celebrity crush. She saw me at the Olympics and was like, that's him. And I was like, obviously, I sound like a massive twat saying that now. But
no,
like,
it's believable. We all see it.
It's amazing, and I think it's so cool, man. And I feel like that is one of those aha moments where it's like, ooh, it feels like home. I've never felt homesick while I'm there, and I come back to New Zealand, and I don't really have a home base anymore. You know, we don't have a family house now, so. I feel really, really happy, and like my cup's very full out there, you know.
I've heard her on a podcast talking about how in the early days you were seeing each other. You were training together at the gym, and she'd rehearse things to talk about or things to.
She's a dick. She's hilarious.
Is that true?
Yeah, she won't bloody shut up now.
That's one of those things. I think it's really good of her to admit it down the track because it's embarrassing.
Yeah, no, she's awesome. It's really worked out well.
And did you? So you're so busy with your own shit. Have you gone back and watched any of her Love Island stuff or?
No, I don't, like. It's just one of those things. It's like I'm not a jealous guy, but I could be. You know, so it's like why open that can of worms?
Yeah, because I got in a bit of a YouTube wormhole last night watching some stuff, and this guy Ryan there, she was singing this guy Ryan.
Yeah,
do you want me to take him out?
Oh, you probably could. From memory, they don't seem like tough guys. I don't know.
Yeah, they did a thing called a compatibility test, which she wrote. So I've got the two questions that she asked Ryan. I'll put them to you. Describe a perfect relationship in one word.
Easy. Yeah, I think it should be easy. And like loving Lexie is so easy. Yeah. It's so easy, and like it's never felt forced. It's never felt like something that we need to do. It's just it's not even a choice now. It's like no, we just do it, man. It's like I feel very lucky that I can say that because I've been in I've only had like long-term relationships really. I was only single for a very short amount of time, and this has been such a kind of eye-opener to what love can be, you know. So the fact that I'm in love with her family, I'm in love with her, and you know, she's like my nephews have like massive crushes on her. Like it's like they're all under 5 years old, I should add, but they're like it's golden, man. It's beautiful. So. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're a good-looking couple. Like, if you guys ever have kids, they're going to be good-looking babies.
They're going to be so tall. I don't know how I would feed them. I know how much I ate as a kid.
Also, if you did have a baby and it was a son, what would you call him?
I don't know, actually.
This is another Love Island question.
Yeah, no, it's good. I've got a few ideas, and they a lot of them's like revolve around kind of a lost community and a lost kind of idea of like where I come from. So like obviously my granddad moved to New Zealand when he was like in his early 20s to do his dentistry, but since traveling back to Uganda and then fleeing during the Idi Amin regime, he's only returned once, and so I kind of want to know a little bit more about that background, but he brought the name Nyika over to New Zealand. That was actually a nickname that he was kind of given because he like mimicked his the chief of his village at the time. His name was Koija Nyika, I believe, and his original first name, his name is Tom Nyika, but his original name was Darius, like Darius, and I kind of like Darius, and it's like double D, you know, like we're like Dave and Darius. I think that's really beautiful. She's all right with it. I think she's okay with it. But if I say it on enough podcasts, she might be like, we fucking have to now, you know. I think that's beautiful anyway, because we are the first we're like a new generation. We're a new species here in New Zealand, and our culture is very, very special and like very unique to our family, and so I'd like to kind of bring a little bit of that through to the next generation. But so my one of my nephew's name is Amos, and that's my dad's middle name. So taking my grandfather's original name would be pretty cool.
Oh, that's wonderful. And this chief that you're talking about, is he the one that used to carry around a stool?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, you've done your research, man.
Yeah, so he always had
cool,
a stool to sit on.
Yeah, so my granddad would follow him around the village. When the chief sat down on his stool, he'd stop, he'd sit down on his stool. My granddad would sit down with his own little stool, and he'd sit down. And like I think the chief was like, I don't know if he was a good person. I think he might have been like a bit of a drunk, but like it's a really neat story. So I love that I kind of have these like romanticized ideas of what his life may have been like, but that has since been left behind, you know.
I just love how connected you are, or how motivated you are to keep your these sort of links to your extended family. I think that's really cool and really special.
Well, I haven't really like actually touched on it yet. These are all like seeds that I'm kind of planting every time I talk about it. You know, like planting them in my own mind as well. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. What a wonderful relationship. Yeah. When do you think you'll propose? Like, have you talked marriage? Well, you want to get married at some point, or is it just not on the radar yet?
Yeah, apparently marriage comes before babies, so like we'll do that. But we're talking about like I think we're probably a few years away from babies. Yeah. Like I want that, like, you know, financial freedom is important, and I know that as soon as we do have kids, my entire kind of life will change, and I want those seeds to turn into little trees before I'd start. Before I, have my own little ones to look after. So, got to be like a little bit responsible. And she's only 22, so we want to explore the world. You know, we want to like travel and whatnot. And so that comes first for sure.
And this may be from an earlier interview that you did that I read, but you talked about your goals post boxing, and some of them included maybe having like a dog sanctuary somewhere, or doing some conservation work in Africa. Has that changed since Lexie came along?
No. I'm actually, I feel like I've planted the seeds for the conservation and for the charity work that high impact athletes are doing, and it's a foundation, a charity foundation that I'm a part of now, and so we're raising money to fight against malaria in Rwanda and like the neighboring countries, Uganda, one of them. So, well, one of my goals is to improve the lives of thousands in Uganda, and that, like, I have no real connections in Uganda other than my own the color of my skin and my family. So at the moment I've like that's kind of like the start of a bigger project, but just kind of like planting those seeds now, and I think I will still be like, it feels more real now anyway, because I like the founder Marcus Daniels I met at the Olympics. He's an amazing guy. He was in my apartment. He was in my apartment at the Olympics, so that's how we met, and he asked me to kind of jump on board and make a pledge. So I pledge a small amount of money every week to go towards these incredible charities that have been like really thoroughly vetted. So say you give $100 to a charity, 95 of those dollars are going to go into the actual cause. You know, they're going to go that's going to go towards buying these bed nets. You know, $10 $10 New Zealand dollars for a bed net to protect 2 people for 3 years. That's kind of where I think I'm going to find the most joy out of being a person of influence, like, because I can actually do that and I can speak about it, and like hopefully people are going to listen, you know. So that's just the start of my my larger story. But I'd like to keep nurturing that idea.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, Marcus Daniel, he's a great guy. He came on the podcast earlier this year.
Oh, awesome.
He actually
I'll have to watch that one.
he messaged me to ask to come on, and when I first got the message, I thought, oh, this guy fucking rates himself. And then the more I thought about it, I thought, I'm the problem here. Like this is tall poppy syndrome.
That's your ego.
100%.
Yeah, man.
Because I'm just
good on you for recognizing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason he wanted to come on is not just to say, I won a bronze medal in doubles tennis and I'm really cool. It was like for high impact athletes, which is he's so altruistic and he's so passionate about it and wants to spread the word. Since then, a few other people have messaged me wanting to come on the podcast, and I've changed my mindset completely. Instead of having that New Zealand mentality where I'm like, oh shit, this person fucking rates themselves, I've recognised it's an issue with me and it's something I need to get over, and we should applaud people that are prepared to put themselves out like that.
Like what's the answer to that though? Like what? Like how do you keep nurturing that idea? Like,
for me personally,
you personally, or what would you say? Like, because that's something that's everywhere in New Zealand, and that kind of stems from. I don't really know what it stems from. Like, what's your take on that? Like, because that's something that a lot of athletes deal with. You probably see a lot of it being in like radio, journalism, podcasting now. You know.
Yeah, I don't know what the solution is necessarily, but it's it's a weird, anyone in New Zealand that sort of puts themselves out there. It's like our thing, like, oh, this person's getting a bit big for their boots. We need to sort of pull them down.
Yeah.
But Marcus Daniel was incredibly humble. He just wanted to come on the podcast to try and basically raise more money for the causes that he's passionate
really
about.
Cool, eh? No, I haven't had much to do with. I've had little bits to do with like SPCA, and that was like purely because I wanted to foster animals, and I really thought I was going to adopt one of them eventually, but because I was like mourning the loss of a family, like our family dog kind of thing. But I've kind of done a little bit of research around some of the bigger charities, and I've volunteered. I've like applied for volunteer roles in Australia since moving over, and it's just like doesn't seem like a lot of the big charities really want to maximize that having people to like the only option I had to go and to be of value at these charities that I applied for was to sit in a retail store, and I was like, what am I going to do in a retail store? Like I'm going to sit there for I can't do more than a few hours at a time on a training day, but like that's just like
it's not using useful. It's not using your profile.
And then on top of that, it's like I don't really want to be a lot of the big charities, the money kind of gets skimmed off. A lot of it goes to administration. Some of it goes towards paying someone's car. Like so nice.
Some of it's horrendous. Some of it's like 30 cents in the dollar ends up going to the charity.
That's
maybe
right.
Even less for some.
Yeah.
Hey, a couple of miscellaneous ones to finish with. Bonsai trees. This is like a hobby or a passion of yours.
Yeah, I tell you what, I've had to hand that down. I moved to Australia and obviously couldn't take my trees.
How many are there?
I tried to start again. I had a fair few, but I moved over and I tried to start up over there, but it's so hot and so dry. It was a bit of an eye opener. Like my trees just died immediately. So I handed it down to my brother, and he's taken a few of my like favorite trees, and he's actually started his own collection, and they're like, it's looking awesome. He's actually done a really good job with it. So
where did this passion start? Is this from Karate Kid with Mr.
During
Miyagi?
lockdown. It was during lockdown when I was really, really sad, and like I was trying to find a way to heal myself, and so I had my foster kittens, and looking after them was good for me. And then I needed something else, and so I started creating bonsai. And there's something you create pain and beauty in something other than yourself, and it's kind of a brutal art form where you're trying to turn what's a small plant, you're trying to twist it, bend it, torment it, and like torture it to near death. But what comes of it is like it's like aged beauty. It's like a really it's a really kind of special art form, yeah. Oh shit, I've wet myself. Sorry, mate.
That's all right. That's right. Oh, that's interesting. Another thing I wanted to ask you about. I've seen a couple of you. Maybe it was just one, or maybe it's more of like the weigh-ins before a boxing fight. And there's one in particular where you're with an opponent that's shorter than you, and you guys are like butting foreheads, like your noses and foreheads are almost touching each other. And when you're doing that, like, what are you saying to each other? What's the conversation?
Depends if they're talking, if they're talking shit or not. You can't I think it'll change. I think it'll change over time. Like I'll get to know the players better, and the players will get to know you better. And at the moment, it's kind of like the guys I've been up against. I know I'm going to beat them, and I think everyone else knows that as well. But it's essentially I call it the prelude. This is the prelude to a really exciting career. And so like getting to know the players more, all of a sudden you'll start knowing more about your opponents, and I think there'll be more to say, But at the moment it's like
Is it just I'm going to waste you? You're fucking going down.
I don't know. I don't even know. I think if someone gets in your face, it's like, oh, it's going down. Like let's go, man. If people try G themselves up, and it's like I'll just match your energy. I'm right here, man. I'm right here. Okay. So I don't know what I don't know what you're trying to do, but I'm gonna kick your ass.
Another one from the miscellaneous section. Israel Adesanya. What's your relationship with him? You've trained together a bit. You've taught him some boxing tips and tricks.
I wouldn't say I've taught him boxing, but I was actually brought in. This is quite a cool story actually. So. The first time I really spent time with... Oh, do you want me to go right back to the start?
Go right back to the start. I'm intrigued with Adesanya.
Okay. Oh, he's awesome. He's he's probably one of my favorite... He's probably my favorite sporting person alive today, only because I appreciate and I understand what he's doing, why he's doing it, and where I feel like I understand a little bit of where he's come from. I first met him after a Joseph Parker fight that I went to. I attended. I got complimentary corporate tickets for myself, my brother, and a couple mates. And we were going to leave later that night, and we were walking through the car park, and we hear some guy come out of the dark, and he says, "Hey, where are you guys going into town?" We turn around, and we're like, not really, we're not going towards the city, we're going back to Hamilton. And he says, do you think you could drop me into the city? And we're like, yeah, sure. It sounds like a fun side quest, So this is Israel Adesanya.
Yeah. This seems like you with your boundaries and not saying no to people.
Yeah, pretty much. This is I want to say this is 2014, so this is well before he makes it into the UFC. And I just won my first Commonwealth Games gold medal. That's why I'm getting free tickets and stuff. And I think this is through Duco even. And so they've been I've been connected to them ever since then.
Yeah.
And so he's bald, he's drunk, he's loud, and he's talking the most shit the entire car ride. And we couldn't really get a word in. And then he's finally kind of what do you guys do? And I was like, oh well, I box. I went to the Commonwealth Games, won a gold medal. He's like, how old are you? And I was 18. He's like, oh, well, that's awesome. I recognize real, and that's the first time I heard this. I recognize real, and I was like, oh, appreciate that. That's nice. Still don't know who the fuck you are. I was like, yeah. You seem pretty sure of yourself though. So I was like, that's awesome. And fast forward, he's made it onto the UFC scene, and they're looking for sparring they were looking for like striking sparring for their upcoming fight against Anderson Silva. And if you rewind another kind of 4 years, Anderson Silva was actually the reason why I got into combat sports in the first place. He was this amazing, versatile, like totally like unorthodox, had the craziest shot selection, like these just the most wild, outrageous kind of fighter. And this was kind of like the coming of age for Israel Adesanya. So it was the passing of the mantle from Anderson the Spider Silva to the Style Bender. So if he can, if he can overcome that hurdle, he's like, he's kind of taken the mantle. So I thought, what a crazy opportunity to be able to like help this guy overcome such a hurdle. Like, and that was special to me because Anderson Silva was my hero, and I was like, oh, that's really neat. There's something about that as well. And so I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And they're like, oh, the only issue is like Anderson Silva's a southpaw. You can spar southpaw, right? And I was like, yeah. So southpaw is essentially being a left-handed fighter, and I'm very right-handed. I couldn't kick a ball with my left foot, but I was like, yeah, sure. I was like, let's do it. So that was how I first became involved with Izzy, and since then, like we've I think we share a lot in common. There's this like you say, this tall poppy syndrome. There's also this kind of we have similar. We've had similar experience, but quite different experiences in New Zealand culturally. So he was born in Nigeria, raised in Nigeria until he was about 10, I believe, and then came to New Zealand and was obviously like looked at as the black sheep. And myself, I have a differing experience where I was kind of expected to be Maori or to be Pacifica or to be something that I wasn't, and so I was accepted by the Maori community. However, I didn't connect. I couldn't connect, and I couldn't.
It's not your culture.
It's not my culture, yeah. And however, like I'm also, I'm not white. I'm not, Aotearoa's idea of white. And so we had this kind of like I feel like we shared something in that space. And so like I've really appreciated what he's done for the sport, but also how he's kind of tackled a lot of those cultural kind of I call them they're disappointments. They're disappointments because I find it disappointing when people are like judged by something that's so dumb. It's like something like skin color or like oh, you don't look like someone I should trust.
What is that, mate?
Yeah, it's bizarre.
Yeah, but I think he's great. And he made a speech when he won the How Big Sports Award about tall poppy and
amazing speech.
And then sure enough, like earlier this year, he got done for drunk driving, and just the comments you read online, it's like there is so many people just sitting there waiting for the opportunity to tear him down. It's disgusting.
Yeah, and like that was really that's actually that time period is actually This is another weird kind of the stars align moment where Israel came to watch my fight in Melbourne. Tyson Fury happened to be at the same fight. They both came to watch me fight there. I fought that fight entirely as a left-handed fighter because I'd learnt over that I'd learned a lot more over that period of time working with the likes of Izzy to fight as a southpaw, and because I had to, and fast forward, I've actually spent quite a bit of time in southpaw, and it's become quite a weapon as well. And Tyson Fury's watching me fight, and he's seen me spar. And I remember one thing he said to me, and I thought this was hilarious. Someone in the gym was saying, "Oh, so you can fight southpaw?" And Tyson yells out, and he goes, "Dave thought that southpaw was a flavor of ice cream." And I was like, "Oh, you motherfucker!" And then fast forward, he comes and watches my fight, and now he's calling me into camp to spar as a southpaw, as a left-handed fighter against for an upcoming bout. That's the biggest clash in recent boxing history. So yeah, it's a strange world, man. But the universe keeps smiling on me, so I'm gonna keep smiling back. I'll keep doing the work.
Well, there's that saying, you reap what you sow.
Yeah, 100%. I believe that, yeah. That's awesome.
I believe in it too. And all the success that's coming your way, you deserve it. And you've worked so fucking hard for it for such a long period of time. And just before we wrap up, like I was listening to a podcast that you did with your girlfriend. Like, you're sitting here, you look perfect, you've said all the right things, but you fart in your sleep.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, a lot apparently.
A lot. Yeah, probably pretty loud. I've got do you want a story about that? Is that what you're asking for?
Okay. Yeah, is there a story?
No, I can. No,
I just wanted to shoot you down before we finished.
Okay,
it's all poppy.
Dickhead. All right. No, I'll double down for you. No, so I had some lower back issues. I'm still dealing with it. It was probably when I was in my earlier 20s, maybe 21, 22, and I'd had a quite a bad disc bulge in between one of my discs. And I was getting an X-ray seen at High Performance Sport in Cambridge at the Velodrome, and I went in with my physio because it was actually it was really crippling. I could barely change my underwear, kind of thing. It was that bad for quite a while. But they're epic. Big shout out to them because I'm probably wouldn't be able to do this without them. But I went into the sports doctor, and I'm like, okay, he's going to bring up, we're going to talk about the progress, the prognosis. What do we do now that you've got an 80-year-old back? And so he pulls up the X-ray and goes, ooh. And I was like, oh, that doesn't sound good, right? And he goes, yeah, you see, there's a lot of black dots there. If you can, I'm not sure if you can see them. And I'm like, oh, that can't be good. And he's like, yeah, those are air pockets. He's like, so those are little pockets of gas. And I was like, he's like, oh, so you've got a lot of gas. And I was like, what the? I was like, I'm with a younger female physio who's sitting right next to me, and I'm like, can we please get to the point? I said to him, I was like, hey, I'm a gassy guy. I was like, can we let's just fucking tell me what to do and let's get me the hell out of here. I'm never coming back here. And no, he was funny. No, I love that guy. He was yeah.
Well, that's crack up. Well, it just goes to show no one's completely perfect.
Thanks, bro. Yeah. Anyway, great note to end on.
Yeah. David Nyika, Commonwealth Games double gold medalist, Olympic bronze medalist, future world champion, no doubt. And I mean, you're still so young. I feel like boxing is not going to be. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself here, but I feel like boxing's not going to be ultimately the thing that defines you and what you do in your life.
I don't think so. No, and I appreciate that, and thank you for having me on the podcast because long time in the making, and this is an epic podcast. I really appreciate what you're doing. This is all for good. This is all the topics that you've talked to me about. I love because I can actually speak on it, and I think the more we talk about it, and the more we express our ideas and share our vulnerabilities and our stories and our journey, the more people can kind of pick it up and run with it, and we might save a lot of people from some serious harm by doing this. So good on you, man. Thank you so much, Dom.
Oh, thanks. I really appreciate it, and I'm pleased I was so persistent in making this happen.
Good on you. Yeah.
Now you can unfollow me and get on with your life. Hey, thanks, mate. Love your work.
Thank you. Cheers, mate. Awesome.